I'll shortly be making one or two videos regarding DNA and ancestry and how we can use that as part of our family tree genealogy. But before I make those videos, I thought it'd be good to level set us all on at least the basics of DNA. So that's what this video is intended to do. Now, I'm not a DNA expert, far from it. And if you like more information on DNA, there's lots of information either via Google or YouTube and how DNA is used. Now, typically at the highest level, there's two types of DNA tests. One is genealogical DNA, which helps building a family tree, looking at ancestors. And then there's medical DNA that will give you tendencies. We're not going to discuss medical DNA at all. In fact, within Ancestry, there is no medical or health results. There are some traits which we'll talk about. But if you wish to look at the medical side, there are other sites that will provide DNA results and give you more medical feedback. But before we go on, let me talk about two things. One is DNA is very, very complex and it's changing all the time. I'm making this video in May 2023 and how DNA is provided next year, what kind of results you can get, how it will handle ancestry and that kind of thing may even change within the next 6 months. So keep an eye on DNA. It's a forever changing field. The second is already a warning to be ready for the results. It can give very sensitive information, even at family history level, much beyond medical DNA. So before you take a test, take a pause and make sure that you're ready for any results that may not be the results you're expecting. And if you're doing DNA for a cousin or an aunt or an uncle or brother or sister, please do two things. Make sure that they're ready for any results. And secondly, they own the results and the privacy of those results, even if you paid for and arranged the test. So security around DNA and how it affects families is something that needs to be forefront of your mind. But let's talk briefly about the different tests that are available. First of all, let's look at the layout of DNA within the genome. And most people who've done science at school may have seen this picture before of the 22 chromosomes plus the sex chromosome that we all have within our DNA. And obviously there are billions of these cells. But for the most part, we share identical DNA over 99% of our DNA stream. So we're only when we're looking at ancestry and we're looking at people and how to match them, we're really only interested in the small part of DNA that can vary between people. And that's where most of the testing takes place. Now there's two big areas for DNA testing. One is inside the genome and one is outside, external to the genome. And within the genome, as we've seen, there's 22 chromosomes and one sex chromosome per person. There's three types of tests within the genome. Autosomal DNA testing. This is the one that we look at the most. This is the one that Ancestry provides results for. There's Y chromosome testing, which is on the male line. Only males have Y chromosome, and we can test to look at the paternal line. And then X chromosomal testing, which both men and women have an X chromosome. Women have 2, men have 1. Outside of the genome, there's mitochondrial DNA. These are like energy factories scattered through all the cells, or pretty much all the cells of the human body. And we'll talk about that a little bit later on, a very exciting field. So let's just talk about briefly those types of tests. As I said, autosomal DNA, sorry about that, is the testing of the 22 non-sexual chromosomes. And we inherit one set of chromosomes from each parent. So that means we're basically inheriting 50% of our DNA from one parent and 50% from another parent. Now these percentages of inheritance are what allow us to map our DNA to our family trees going forward. And this is the primary test that family history sites use as part of the research into your family tree. And this is the only DNA test that Ancestry provides results for. That's as of May 2023. Y chromosome testing is the paternal line, and Y chromosomes are passed from father to son. And there is a mutation rate that the testing sites can look at to determine where your match fits within your descendants' lines. Now, if you're a female, obviously you can't test a Y DNA to look at the paternal line. But what you do in this case is you test a brother or an uncle or even your father, and that will allow you to look at the paternal line within your family tree. X chromosomes are a little bit different. We have one X and one Y for male side and two X's on the female side. For a man, the X is passed from the mother, and for a female, they inherit the one X chromosome from the father and one from the mother. Now, unfortunately, the mother doesn't always pass the single X chromosome. They're often jumbled. So you're getting material, even though the mother's got two X chromosomes, she passes on one. The one she passes down may not be identical to either. So it's unstructured in a way, and this is a pretty complex area of research. It can be done. Some sites do this, and you can look at your maternal line through the X chromosomes, but again, way beyond the scope of this video. Then finally, mitochondrial DNA. Now this is the DNA within our cells, small circular piece of DNA, and it's outside of the nucleus and passed basically from mother to children only. So this is not a paternal line, it's a maternal line, and it's passed almost unchanged. So parental or maternal relationships can be established using mitochondrial DNA, but not where that relationship fits in your descendants line. So it could be very close to you, it could be your mother or grandmother, but it could go back hundreds of years. But it's very useful for establishing whether the maternal line exists. And again, it's an area where historians often use to try and come up with some kind of link to historical DNA. So those are the four types. But let's go back to Ancestry. And when you buy your Ancestry kit, if you've not already got it, wait for a holiday or a special offer. Ancestry puts out special offers probably bi-monthly, certainly around every holiday, Mother's Day or Father's Day, so you never have to pay full price. And it's as simple as spitting into a tube, putting that tube in an envelope and sending it to Ancestry, and within a few weeks you get the results back. Now, as part of your activation, you link this to your tree, and we'll talk about that a little bit more in what the different options are in the next video. But once it's all linked in, you'll be able to see the results. Now, as I talked about before, when we're looking at ATDNA, we're looking at the relationships of the DNA that's inherited from your parents. And you inherit, as I said earlier, one set of chromosomes from one parent, one set from another, so that's 50% from each parent. But equally, you can pass on 50% of your chromosomes to your child, and your sibling may have 50% of the chromosomes the same as you, the same 50% DNA. So when we even say 50% match, it's not always certain that a 50% match is a parent. It could be somebody else. Now, if you have identical twins, pretty much the DNA will be identical too. Not exactly, but pretty much the same. Now, if we look at grandparents, obviously your parents inherit 50% of their DNA from their parents, so you basically got 25% of your grandparents' DNA. And this is the tree that we can start building, knowing the different options of relationships that the percentage of DNA will give you. And we'll just spread that out a little bit, show some cousins. So this chart really is an average, kind of gives some idea where first cousins would fit in, where uncles and aunts would fit in. So this is a useful one, maybe just take a screenshot from and keep to one side when we're going to work through the matches. I'll probably use this again in our match video later on. But some distant relationships, you can see way down in the bottom right hand corner, the third cousin twice removed is below 0.2%. So it very quickly, as we go back through the generations, gets very diluted. But anyway, this is the basic level DNA knowledge that you will need basically to take on when we start talking about matches. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. I hope it's brought some good information to you, and I hope you feel ready to go to the next step, which is discussing how matching and other aspects, traits and ethnicity work with Ancestry, which will be my next video. Thanks for watching.